Hey everybody, today we're going to be installing Cisco Instant Connect version 4.10.2, and we're going to do that from the OVA files we installed earlier. We'll light up the server, the UMS and the DFSI gateway. We'll do the ISSI gateway in another video. Alright, first we'll hop on the PC here, log into the vSphere client, and go over here to our inventory, pop the tab, and we see our servers. Now my router config is going to show up here so I can see all my hosts because I need those. Alright, here's the console. Let's start the server. The virtual machine installation process is off and running. Alright, so you see the system loading up here, and I just want to show you this nice clean boot to start with. I promise the boots will be greatly shortened as the video goes on. As a matter of fact, there'll be a lot of truncating of steps here. Alright, first off, we're going to need passwords for root, grub, and admin. You'll need your IP addresses, and you'll need netmask, DNS, and gateway information. Please pick good passwords. These first three are used at a system level. The grub, of course, is the bootloader password. It's your single user backdoor, if you want to think of it that way. Your system user, I always choose admin, and we can put in the same three passwords probably for these are fine, as long as you pick good secure ones. Later on you'll be able to pick the iPix software passwords that will be used by the software administrator and the database administrator. We'll do that in the iPix installation. Alright, network setup, instantconnect.demo.cisco.com. A fully qualified forward and reverse DNS lookup capable name. My server is running on my Cisco router, so you'll see the gateway address and the primary DNS address are the same. You must use DNS. I'm going to say that lots of times over the course of this little tutorial, and someone will still call me and say, yeah, I didn't install DNS, how come it's not working? Okay, we're going to click and go forward here. Time zone, the beautiful West Coast, but I use the UTC system clock. The date and time is set. Click forward, and let's finish the setup. Okay, now truncated boot sequence there, and the server's ready. Let's begin. We're going to log in as root. We're going to change directory to installer, and it's not /installer, it's just installer. And we'll go in there, and there's my iPix file. So let's run that. I love file name completion. And it will ask us if we really want to do the installation, if we're going to read the end user license agreement, and if we've read and agreed to the end user license agreement. Of course, we'll answer yes to all those questions. Yes, yes, and yes. Okay, here's where we can choose the iPix password used by the software. And here's the database password. Hopefully you'll never need this unless your database gets corrupted. Okay, note the start time. This is when we're actually kicking off the installation process. And we'll look at that at the end too. Alright, now I'm going to toggle over to the UMS virtual machine and power that on, get that started. Greatly shortened boot sequence here also. And we'll put in our information, our three passwords, and our network information. Once again, another fully qualified domain name. We don't need the secondary or tertiary DNS. Time zone, UTC, set the clock, off we go. And you might even synchronize those to NTP later. Okay, here's the login. And the installation begins. Now you will see as we go through, we ask the same questions about the license agreement and do we want to install and all that. And then you'll see the progress bar come up and it'll very quickly go to 49%. There's one important note here on that progress bar, by the way. That is what process we're at. I'll use the same password here as you did for the iPix, for the server. That is what point in the process we're at, not the total time. So this is the steps in the installation process. So you see we're at 49%. We go back over here to iPix, it's halfway done. It's going to stay at 50% for a long time. That's where the database is being expanded. Okay, back to the UMS. Its database is done. Now it goes to 60 pretty quickly, and then to 80. I did shorten these a little bit, but not much. And then we'll be asked to reboot. And we'll say yes. And the UMS software is now installed. The system is rebooting, and let's go check on the iPix software. 50%. That database is huge. As we add features, the database just gets bigger. All right, shortened boot sequence for the UMS. Now, what I'm going to do here is something that I've carried over from much older installations. This is now automatically done by the Instant Connect install process, but you notice I'm SSHing over to the Instant Connect server, or the iPix server, and then when I get there, I'll come back from that side and SSH into the UMS. And the reason I do this is to get that RSA fingerprint in there to start building my trust certs. And as I said, it's now done completely automatically, but I still do this just, I guess, out of force of habit. I also go in and make sure I have entries in the host file. Also a force of habit thing. It used to be that you could actually bypass the need for the DNS server by having the local host file entries. That's not the case anymore. You'll find that the installation of the software will fail when you go to configure the UMS because it can't find it in the DNS on the server. So, very important. How many times have I said DNS server now is required? Still, this does get those RSA fingerprints in there. I go and do this on all the servers that are going to connect to the Instant Connect and make reciprocal connections by the host name, by the IP address. It's probably just killing time while the system is booting here. Now that said, if you are going to run a third-party cert or you're generating your own self-signed certificates, then I strongly suggest that you get that squared away on the machines that are going to be hosting the UMS, the Instant Connect, and any gateways before you actually install the software. Make sure the trust relationships are built, the machines can see each other, that they can SSH to each other, that they trust each other, and then do the Instant Connect installation. It will make your life so much easier doing it that way than trying to do it after Instant Connect has been installed and built its tables. Okay? Because this system is all about being secure. Okay, back over to iPix, still installing that database file. All the new features we've added have just made that grow. Okay, so let's go over here and fire up the DFSI gateway. And this just kind of proves that you can install all three gateways in the time, all three pieces of software in the time it takes the iPix to fire up. Greatly shortened sequence again. Told you they'd get shorter. Change directory to installer, fire up the DFSI, and now let's go back and look once again. Now, once the iPix database is installed, it'll very quickly go from 50% to do you want to reboot to like done. So you see it took 20 minutes to do that process. The DFSI gateway is now finished. We're done. All three servers are installed. Thanks.